If you've been following my channel, you'll notice that I don't talk about TV shows at all. There's a very simple reason for that, which is I'm not that good at it yet. With most movies, barring sequels, prequels, and requels, all of the meat, all that good is within the runtime of a movie. Within the span of 90 minutes or 3 hours, I get to see a story play out. And over the years, I've learned to understand cinematic language fairly well, the 3-act structures, the movie-length character arcs, and so on. Movies are far easier for me to connect with and understand, versus TV shows, especially when it comes to prime-time, hour-long medical or legal dramas. In the streaming era we've been in for a long time now, the idea of a TV show has been played with, pushed, pulled, twisted, inverted, subverted, and experimented with to the point of ambiguous definition. I have a hard time loving prestige TV shows like Severance when they'll release a 10-episode season that's a banger and then 2 to 3 years pass before season 2 arrives, and frankly, I've moved on. Example, I love True Detective, but I am explicitly referring to season 1 when I say that, and I bet most people would understand what I mean as well. And serialized, case of the week, non-prestige type TV storytelling like The Good Wife or The Good Doctor or Law and Order is rarely the new hot thing on streaming services, and frankly, I'm surprised they've stayed alive this long. But streamers like Max and Netflix don't typically produce original week-to-week medical or legal dramas. They'd much rather publish limited series like Adolescence or The Queen's Gambit, or flagship series like House of the Dragon, Severance, Stranger Things, Ozark, you know what I mean? Shows that feel like they'd qualify for Oscars before Emmys. The most prestigious of prestige TV shows. Because of this, over the years, I stopped trying to get into new prestige shows because they kept getting canceled, forgotten about, or neglected by their platforms for whatever reason. I can't commit to a show if the streamer is not committed to the show. So many billions of dollars flying around and Mindhunter just never got to do another season. You know what's cool about David Fincher movies? They begin and end. They finish their thought. But in the land of streaming TV shows, a story can just be left to die. And in the land of network TV dramas, the best of the best felt like they'd come and gone and have 20 seasons sitting there that I'll never start, and I hate that. Anyway, I'm getting off track. The point is, I didn't think a weekly medical drama would ever pull me in and keep me more engrossed than any show has in the last decade, and yet, The Pitt. The Pitt is a medical drama made by mostly the same folks who made ER, including Noah Wyle starring and producing. In fact, the estate of Michael Crichton, who created ER, is suing The Pitt for essentially being a spiritual sequel without their consent. The Pitt allegations are crazy, but I'm not a lawyer, so I can't speak on that. I've also never watched ER, if you couldn't guess, given my whole spiel in the intro, so I can't speak on that either. What I can speak on is why The Pitt is better than any new movie I've seen so far this year. Here's the pitch. The Pitt's first season is 15 episodes. Every episode is an hour of a 15-hour shift in an overrun, understaffed, underfunded emergency room within a trauma hospital in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's essentially in real time, a structure that most showrunners rarely would have the vision to engage with. 24, by the way, was great and really groundbreaking, although I never finished that either. But having this structure for a real-world medical drama is the stroke of genius I can't believe I haven't seen done before. And by the way, there's a ton of strokes in this show, but The Pitt has proven what I've always felt. If your show is undeniably, viscerally compelling, I will watch it. And The Pitt delivers that in spades. So I'm gonna try to avoid explicit spoilers, but warning for the more broad plot trajectories or vague character arc stuff. So besides 24, the show that I've seen that The Pitt reminds me of the most is Southland, a gritty, day-in-the-life look at real cops doing real shit. The show was so deliberate on grabbing your attention and holding onto it for as long as possible, with camera work more similar to a Paul Greengrass film than an NBC cop show. But even Southland would give you a break. The episode would end with a character going to bed or grabbing a drink at the bar or extending the timeline in these different subplots in the show. We were able to decompress with them. But The Pitt does not give you a break. It's all happening right now, all the time. We need to intubate. If Southland is intense, The Pitt is blistering. It's the kind of show I never saw coming. The streaming era is so saturated and varied with its different shows, I guess I just never thought a streamer would make one like this. While The Pitt on the surface looks like 100 different medical dramas, it has a special sauce that elevates it higher than not only any other medical drama I've seen, but above most shows I've seen, full stop. The Pitt is an absolute pressure cooker of a series. Unlike most medical shows, it's not concerned with the case of the week paired with personal thing of the week paired with season-long arcs and will they won't they drama. If you binged this straight through like I did, the Pitt's drama is trauma in the most literal sense. The stakes could not be higher all the time, and yet as their one shift unfolds, they find new ways to ratchet things up. Not many shows have the confidence to try this kind of thing, and even less shows succeed at it. Characters will come in and out of the show. One is introduced in the first scene and doesn't appear again until hour 12. And yet somehow, by the time he arrives again, we are so happy to see him, and we feel like we've known him as long as Robbie has. We understand the impatience and frustration growing in the waiting room because we've also been waiting for 6+ hours with them. Because the scope of the story is so small, somehow every little detail becomes something bigger than it seems. A glance from one doctor to another can signal so much about their relationship. A lot of awesome show don't tell stuff is going on in every scene. A couple of characters do say a little bit too much about themselves than they probably should, but that's also a real character flaw for that certain character and gets her into tough spots. Most of the time, quick looks or long silences or moments of hesitation speak volumes about these doctors, who they are, and how they're just trying to help people. The personal lives of the staff are not being put out there constantly in real life, to my knowledge, either, and the show does a good job of staying grounded with that. We can infer a lot about these people through performance. The emergency room is a place of drama. It's a place of anxiety, fear, loss, guilt, shame, denial. It's one small building just packed up to the vents with drama. What the Pitt captures so well isn't just the medicine, it's the humanity. These doctors, and therefore us, are just trying to save people all day. It's not a case of the week show, it's a case by the moment show. The amount of times you will be struck by a moment and just sit in it, deeply affected, if not brought to tears. Rarely does a show have multiple moments per episode like this, and it's due to the construction and premise of the show itself. They take full cathartic advantage of the kinds of raw human-to-human moments between strangers that you may find within an average 15-hour shift in a trauma center. It feels so immersive. The POV is so clear at any given time, despite the different plots intersecting at every turn. And you might be like, how do you grow to love these characters if we aren't seeing any of their private lives and internal things going on? How do we learn to love them in one day? That's where the performances come in. Through inferring, we can tell so much about these people. We observe their every moment and movement. It's really something. And by the way, if anything's ever gonna get me to scratch the surface of ER, it's just to get more Noah Wyle. His Dr. Robbie in this show is a superhero. His level of tact and skill and empathy when dealing with patients and the doctors is some of the best acting I've seen in a week-to-week show, including from the guest performances from the patients, character actors from stuff like Midnight Mass or Wet Hot American Summer. And because it's not a case of the week show, the same guest stars are actually in tons of the episodes, even if just for a glimpse, to show us how they're holding up and how they're doing. I could talk about everybody in this show, and I wish I were doing week-to-week videos, but I got into this show way too late. I don't know how to review TV. It's an art unto itself, so let me know if you saw The Pitt, what you thought. Have you been as enraptured in this thing as I have? I was about to start Severance so I could see what all the fuss was about, and made the 12-hour beautiful mistake of starting The Pitt, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. See ya.